Every morning, millions of men pour themselves a cup of coffee and have absolutely no idea they're missing a chance to fix one of the most frustrating problems of their lives. I'm talking about erectile dysfunction. And I'm talking about something you can add to that coffee right now. Something that directly raises nitric oxide, restores blood flow, and begins to reverse the vascular damage behind most cases of ED. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it is, why it works, and how to use it starting tomorrow morning. Stick with me. I'm Dr. Cross. I've spent 18 years treating men with sexual health issues in my practice in Chicago. And one of the first things I tell every new patient is this: erectile dysfunction is not a bedroom problem. It's a blood flow problem. Once you understand that, really understand it, everything changes. The way you approach the problem changes. The solutions you look for change, and your results change. Here's what most doctors won't tell you. The same mechanism that causes a heart attack is the same mechanism that causes ED. Your arteries narrow. Their lining, what we call the endothelium, stops working properly. Blood flow drops. And the first place most men feel it, before their heart, before their legs, before anything else, is in their erections. Research has shown that ED appears 2 to 3 years before cardiovascular disease is diagnosed. That's not a coincidence. That's your body sending you a signal. And most men ignore it because they're too embarrassed to talk about it. I've seen this hundreds of times in my practice. A man comes in thinking he has a sex problem. What he actually has is a vascular problem that's showing up in the bedroom first. The good news is, if you catch it here, you have a window to do something about it. Not just for your erections, for your heart, for your life. So what does your morning coffee have to do with any of this? I'll get there. But first, let me break this down for you, because you need to understand what's actually happening inside your body before any of this will make sense. An erection is, at its core, a hydraulic event. Blood needs to flow into the penile tissue, fill the erectile chambers, and stay there long enough for an erection to happen and be maintained. That entire process is controlled by one molecule, a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide. That's the molecule that tells the smooth muscle in your blood vessel walls to relax and open up. When nitric oxide is high, vessels dilate, blood flows freely, and everything works the way it should. When nitric oxide is low, the vessels stay tight and constricted. Blood can't get where it needs to go. Pressure builds in the wrong places. And that's when ED happens. Not because of some mysterious failure, but because of a simple, measurable, correctable deficiency in one molecule. Now here's where it gets interesting. Nitric oxide production declines with age, significantly. Studies suggest that by the time a man is in his 50s, his nitric oxide production may be less than half of what it was in his 30s. And that decline tracks almost perfectly with the rise in ED prevalence. At 40, about 40% of men have some degree of ED. At 50, it's closer to 50%. At 60, higher still. This is not coincidence. This is biology. And it's biology you can influence. And this is exactly where your morning coffee comes in. There are two naturally occurring compounds, both backed by real published science, that can meaningfully raise nitric oxide levels in the body. Neither requires a prescription. Neither is expensive. And both can be added to your morning coffee so easily that there is no excuse not to try this. I'll tell you what they are in a moment. But first, stay with me here because this next part is important. I had a patient, let's call him Mike, 54 years old, type 2 diabetic, been dealing with ED for about 3 years when he came to see me. Mike had been on Viagra. It worked sometimes, stopped working other times. He'd tried a couple of supplements he found online, spent probably $300 or $400 on things that did nothing. He was frustrated, demoralized. He told me he felt like his body had just decided to quit on him, and there was nothing he could do about it. I asked him about his morning routine. He said, coffee with cream and 2 sugars, every single day without fail. I told him I was going to ask him to change one thing about that coffee, just one thing. He looked at me like I was crazy. 6 weeks later, he came back for a follow-up. I asked him how things were going. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, that the difference was noticeable within about 2 weeks. Not dramatic at first, but real, something he hadn't felt in a long time. By week 6, it was consistent. He asked me why his doctor had never told him about this. The answer, by the way, is that most doctors have 15 minutes per appointment. They don't have time to explain the biochemistry of nitric oxide production. That's why I'm here. So let's talk about what Mike added to his coffee. The first compound is called L-citrulline. It's an amino acid found naturally in watermelon, cucumber, and a few other foods. Here's what makes it remarkable for this specific problem. When you consume L-citrulline, your kidneys convert it into another amino acid called L-arginine. And L-arginine is the direct precursor to nitric oxide production.
Good question.
Your body uses L-arginine to synthesize nitric oxide through an enzyme called nitric oxide synthase. More L-arginine available means more nitric oxide produced. More nitric oxide means more vasodilation. More vasodilation means more blood flow. More blood flow means better erections. Now you might be asking, why not just take L-arginine directly? Good question. And this is backed by real science, not internet nonsense. It turns out that L-arginine taken orally is broken down significantly in the gut before it ever reaches the bloodstream. L-citrulline bypasses that breakdown. It survives digestion better, converts to L-arginine in the kidneys, and raises blood arginine levels more effectively than arginine itself does. A 2011 study published in the Journal of Urology looked at men with mild to moderate ED who supplemented with L-citrulline. The researchers found significant improvements in erection hardness scores. Not in every man, but in enough men, particularly those with vascular ED, which is the most common kind, to make this one of the most promising natural interventions available. But here's the thing, there's a second compound that works alongside L-citrulline, and it amplifies the effect by using a completely separate biochemical pathway. This is the key. You're not just hitting one lever, you're hitting two at the same time. That second compound is dietary nitrate. And the richest natural source of dietary nitrates is beetroot. When you consume dietary nitrates, your body converts them to nitrite and then to nitric oxide through a pathway that is entirely independent of the L-arginine pathway I just described. So you have two separate routes to the same destination: higher nitric oxide, better blood flow, improved erectile function. A study published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that beetroot juice significantly increased plasma nitrite levels. That's a direct marker of nitric oxide availability in the body. Other research has shown improvements in blood pressure, exercise performance, and vascular function. The mechanism is real. The evidence is there. This is why I tell patients, add a small amount of beet powder to your morning coffee. I know that sounds strange. It looks a little unusual. Your wife or partner might look at you funny the first time. But here's the practical reality. High-quality beet powder mixed into dark coffee is almost undetectable in terms of taste. The bitterness of the coffee masks the earthy flavor of the beet completely. And the nitric oxide boost you get from starting your day this way is real, measurable, and cumulative, meaning it builds over time. The L-citrulline you can find as a standalone powder, unflavored, mixes easily. About 3 to 5 grams per day is what most research has used. The beet powder. Look for one with no added sugar, just pure beetroot powder. A teaspoon in your morning coffee. That's it. 2 ingredients, 1 cup, every morning. Now let me be clear about something because I want to be straight with you. I'm not telling you to throw away your medication. If you're on Viagra or Cialis, talk to your doctor before making any changes. What I'm telling you is that these two compounds address something that PDE5 inhibitors, that's the class of drugs Viagra and Cialis belong to, do not address. Medication temporarily forces blood flow in the short term. What we're talking about here is rebuilding vascular function over time, raising your baseline nitric oxide so that your arteries function better every single day, not just for 4 hours after you take a pill. Those are not the same thing. And for a lot of men, especially men with vascular ED, which is the majority, addressing the underlying cause is the only way to see lasting improvement. I've seen this work in my practice more times than I can count. It doesn't work for everyone. Nothing does. If your ED has a hormonal cause, low testosterone, this won't fix that. If it's primarily psychological, performance anxiety, you need a different approach. But for men whose ED is vascular in origin, which is most men over 40, this is one of the simplest, most accessible, most evidence-backed interventions I know of. And it starts with your morning coffee. If you take one thing from this video, make it this. Your erections are a report card for your cardiovascular system, and you can improve that report card starting tomorrow morning. I've put together a complete 30-day protocol that goes much further than what we covered today. It includes everything I walk my patients through in the first month, from nutrition to exercise to sleep optimization to supplementation. The link is in the description if you want to go deeper. If this was helpful, hit subscribe. I put out new videos every single day to help you take control of your health. I'm Dr. Cross, and I'll see you in the next
sleep
one.
optimization to supplementation. The link is in the description if you want to go deeper. If this was helpful, hit subscribe. I put out new videos every single day to help you take control of your health. I'm Dr. Cross, and I'll see you in the next one.